Sorry about that. So welcome to tonight's Monday night panel. What a game on Saturday. We've just said actually it was a draw, but it felt like a win. So all the better than as it has been. Just a couple of things. There is a signing session at the club tomorrow with the players, 4 o'clock in the Legends Lounge. One of the half-term events. So if anybody wants to come along, the players will be there for signing and photographs. And just want to say the well done to the Junior Reds room for Caroline and all the volunteers. What a wonderful time they had on Saturday for the Halloween event. It was fantastic. Lovely to see everybody enjoying themselves, except for one little girl who did not like Mickey Mouse. She wasn't happy at all, bless her. But no, so thanks for Kev coming as Mickey Mouse and all the volunteers. So let's bring Vic on and we'll talk about an event we're having.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
All right. I've got some SAS travel news. They've got a third coach now available for MK Dons. That's on the 9th of November, of course. But there are still spaces left. So if you want to go to MK Dons on that third coach, get in touch with them. I believe their phone lines are open now. So if you want to give them a call, feel free to do so. And we'll put the details, if we can, Chris, along the bottom. That would be really useful. Yeah. And Accrington Stanley spaces are now available. The 16th of November. I've got September down here for some reason. I don't know why. Leaves the county ground at 8 a.m. Members £29, non-members £31. A Colchester will be going on sale later this week. Details to be confirmed. That's the 3rd of December. And don't forget tomorrow night, of course, the under-18s are at home to Newport in the FA Youth Cup first round. 7 o'clock kickoff. Tickets are available, as are for the FA Cup first round against Colchester on Saturday and the EFL Trophy against Tottenham under-21s next week. That also is a 7 p.m. kickoff. And yes, a couple of events to tell you about the programme. So we've got the 8th of December. That's now going to be in the Legends Lounge, isn't it?
Yes.
And we are confirming this week the details of Mike Malarkey, World Cup assistant referee, long-time Premier assistant referee. He is in charge of the professional game organisation for assistants in the Premier League. He'll be joining us in the Legends Lounge on the 14th of September.
November.
November. Why have I got September in the brain? I don't know what's going on. 14th of November, and it promises to be a really special night. So, if you're an official with the Wilts FA or a member of the local football teams, please get in touch. We'd love you to come along. Full details of it will be released this week. So we'd love to have you there on the 14th of November.
Yeah, and we will be sending them out to Wiltshire FA and the Referees Association once we can find some contact details, because as Vic said, it'll be a fascinating conversation with Mike. So we'd like everybody to have the chance to be a part of that. Okay, so let's bring everybody on and we will start. So we've got Andy, we've got Jamie, we've got Nick, and we've got Mike, and we've got Dan. Eventually.
I think it's fair to say, Chris, that the backgrounds are now hotting up, are they not? Mike has come from a warehouse.
They are, yes.
In Wiltshire, I don't know where the warehouse is. Nick's head is placed over the top of the Arkle stand, the John Trollope stand. Dan is off to play Luke Littler very shortly. Jamie's got a nice picture of a dog and something in the distance and a very nice plant. Andy's got, it looks like an indie band and several shirts as well. So, and Chris has a nice floral curtain. So there we go.
There we go. Yeah, I'm not on for long enough to bother.
Black and white.
I'm not even bothered for it. Yeah. Okay, so I am going to leave you. So have fun, and any questions or comments, please leave in the Facebook comment section.
Thank you, Chris. Daniel says, will there be any space in the MK Dons Stadium? I understand they're a massive pub. We might not get the space for our small little following in Wiltshire. It is a rather splendid ground, I have to say. Of all the grounds you visit, it is pretty good. But I take the point that you're making. Right, gentlemen, a 1-1 draw against Swindon Town against Gillingham on Saturday. A late goal, of course, from Harry Smith, 90 plus 3 minutes, with that magnificent cross from Tamizi Sobowale with the assist as well. The goal for Gillingham came on 16 minutes, Tim Dieng, with an assist by a player called Jacob Wakeling, you may have heard of. And, of course, the feature of the early play was a Grant Hall red card. Let's go around the panel and see what they thought of it. Andy, what was your view?
What, of the game or the actual decision? The red card. As my compatriot there, Mike, would say, we went, ooh, that looks like a red straight away. Obviously you see it in real time. He just, the way he launched himself, it seemed such a long way away. And then there was obviously a little bit of confusion over the brandishing of cards. We had a chat beforehand before we came on as to whether he was actually brandished. He actually gave him a yellow. I saw him with a yellow in his hand. Grant Hall obviously moving away and refusing to come back to the referee. We thought, has that exacerbated the situation? But it would appear that the fourth official got involved, and then it became a red. But I don't have any criticism of the referee about that. That was a red all day, and highly a stupid thing to do from some senior player when we really, really did need, we needed everyone on the field, didn't we? That especially, with Holloway starting and everything. So yeah. Not a start.
No, Jamie, what was your view of it? I think most people. I mean, my reaction was it was a red straight away. But what were your thoughts?
I think it's the old cliche of he gave the referee an opportunity to make a decision, didn't he? I tend to agree with Andy. As soon as he launched himself in, it was one of those where if it was the other way around, we would have been howling for it as a red card as well. I think it was a bit of probably linked to him not having played for a while and wanting to make an impression. And I thought it was interesting Holloway's comments about he was one of the senior pros. So I think it was probably one of those stupid early decisions where you want to try and rile everyone up by making a tackle. If he'd actually got the ball and made a strong tackle, it probably would have got everyone wound up. But he was so far away from the ball that I think it would have been one of those where you would really have thought we got away with it if he hadn't gone sent off.
Yeah, Nick. Obviously, it's 9 minutes in. As a coach, you're standing there thinking, "Hang on a minute, we have a game plan. That game plan's really changed now." And it was interesting because I think I'm right in saying that all the starters on Saturday were permanent signings, weren't there? There weren't any loan signings in that 11 which started off. So I assume it's a chance for Holloway to have a look. But what do you do as a coach when that happens that early on?
Yeah, it's hard because you're going to make a change somewhere because your defence, you want to keep your defence tight. And he was a centre of defence, it makes it really awkward. So you make a change, but, it's come out wound. It ended up, as we said, with the 1-1. But I was surprised he took McGregor off because you think, you're down to 10 men, you're going to have to work harder. You got your youngster on, or he's going to have the freshest legs. So I was quite surprised with that substitution that he done taking him off. If anyone, that did surprise me because I thought he'd be the last person you'd take because he's going to be the fittest one out there, the youngster. But you've got to make a sub because you need someone at the back. And me personally, I know he brought Freckington. I like Minton. I'd have had Minton on before Freckington personally, but it worked out well. So what can you say?
Yeah, Freckleton on from McGregor on 21 minutes. And it brought a reaction, Mike, didn't it? When that decision was made, there was a lot of booing going on. Whether that was about the decision or the fact that Freckleton came on, difficult to know, but I would imagine it was the decision more than anything. What about there's a comment here from Sean who says, was a red, but what threw everyone was that all saw a yellow first, and we all saw that yellow first. Now, it's whether he actually brandished it at him or not, it's a moot point. But what was your view of all that?
My first view was red all day long, twice on a Sunday. And when I saw it back on the TV from the opposite angle, it looked like two reds to me. It was a dreadful tackle. I'm convinced I saw the referee wave a yellow card. He then put his hand to his ear, which is normally someone's talking to him. And if we look down, because we sit right by the dugout, the fourth official was also hand to his ear as well. So I think he was telling him, I think you need to think about that and make it a red. And it was a red all day long. It was a stupid challenge. It put us under an incredible amount of pressure. Regarding the substitution, yeah, I didn't particularly go along with the reaction to it, and it actually made us stronger. I think we were looking extremely vulnerable until we made that change. And actually, after that change, we didn't really allow them to create much for the rest of the game. So, yes, it was a controversial change, and we don't like him taking off a young player who's making his way in the game. But tactically, it seemed like it was the right thing to do in hindsight. So, fair play. And I assume it was Holloway that made that call, because he made most of the calls.
Yeah, he was up and down like a what's it, wasn't he? I mean, it was unbelievable, really. Dan, what was your view of it? I mean, the general consensus was it was a sending off. I don't know what your opinion of it was, but it sets a trend right at the start of the game, doesn't it? All the plans go out the window. You've got to redress, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I think to answer your question, it depends on what era you're watching football in. When I was young, Steve McMahon would put in 3 or 4 of those tackles a game, and probably only get 2 yellow cards for the 4. Yeah. No, I agree with what others have said. It was silly, reckless, overly forceful. Gave the referee a decision to make in a non-dangerous area of the pitch from one of your senior pros. It was really not appreciated on the day. I think on the referee getting his yellow out, I think what he did actually was get his book out, and in the book you could see the flash of yellow. I could see that from my side on the Don Rogers. So I think that was the ref just trying to calm things down, stop there being a mass sort of brawl, a mass surrounding of him. I commented in the period between the foul happening and Hall getting sent off to my dad, he's going to be lucky if he only gets a yellow here. We couldn't really have any complaints. In 2024, you can't really tackle like that. And on the reshuffle, I think the boos weren't for Freckleton, just to be clear.
Yeah.
I think that was because of who was brought off, with McGregor being a very popular young player. And in terms of the reshuffle, it gave us a glimpse of what a back 4 looks like, which I'm quite in favour of personally. We'll see what Holloway wants to do with the side moving forward. But I agree with Mike. I think actually Swindon looked pretty happy, pretty solid from that point forward. I can only think of Bycroft making one very good save, which from a Gillingham perspective, I think their 1,100 fans are going home absolutely pig sick. They've lost 5 games on the trot.
Yeah,
they come away from home and they're a man up and a goal up within 16 minutes. If you can't win that, it's time to pack it in, boys.
I've got to say,
for Swindon.
If I'd been a Gillingham fan, that would have been a defeat, wouldn't it, Dan? I mean, you come away.
Well, it couldn't happen to a nicer club. Things first. And no, full credit to Swindon. The story was Swindon. It wasn't Chills.
Yeah.
It was the fact that Swindon got themselves organised, worked extremely hard. I thought the crowd were superb in the second half. Another glimpse to what the county ground can be when things, the players give the crowd something to cheer. So, all in all, a good day, and I was so happy Swindon got the equaliser. Very well deserved.
Yeah, many have said to me about the roar at the end. It was like the old days, whenever the old days were. I mean, but it was. It was fabulous. John has texted in, gentlemen, regarding your work. So prepare to be judged. John says, the 3-week campaign has worked and the effort is appreciated. Hopefully Andrew and Rob are watching and taking note. But for now, my work is done. See you in Accrington. So he actually hasn't marked you individually, but I think you've done all right, I think is the result of that. So well done. Let's go through some of the comments then, and lots of them coming in. Hi, Daniel. Gillingham are one of the worst teams I've seen all season. Boy, considering the season we've seen so far, that's some statement. Hi, Fifey. Do we think Ian Holloway goes forward at the back moving forward, which is what Jan's just been talking about? 9 o'clock for Falls Rush in, of course. Hi, Matthew. I really hope we go back to old style 4-4-2 with Ian Holloway and stop the massive holes across the pitch. Good evening, says Kirk. I thought Hall's red card was poor for a senior pro, but credit to the lads. They kept going and we got a deserved point. Watching Holloway on the sidelines was shades of Di Canio. If he can get a tune out of this team, he could be a more positive rest of the season. Lots of these comments coming in, so we'll get to them as we go through. It leaves Swindon 22nd in the league with 12 points from 14 games. Then come Carlisle below the dreaded dotted line, 8 from 14, and then Morecambe 7 from 14. So, yes, an interesting time. Carlisle lost 1-0 at home to Cheltenham. Morecambe lost 5-2 at home to Chesterfield. What does this say about the season to come then, Andy? I mean, it's ridiculous to comment on one game when the manager wasn't even the manager for the game, but he was involved. So what does this say going forward?
Well, let's hope this is the line in the sand. And, obviously the work started this morning for Holloway. And listen to what people said. I think he's going to play. He quite likes a 4-3-3, historically. I think we've got to look on the positive side now and say, right, we were all glad to see the back of Kennedy. We were worried about what if Kennedy went, what would bring. We obviously had concerns about not being replaced, but Holloway would seem to be a breath of fresh air, and his enthusiasm, I'm sure, had a lot to do with the way that we played. And then ultimately, as you say, the last 5-10 minutes, the ground was rocking, wasn't it? So, yeah, I'm really hopeful now. I mean, we've said many times on this, it's a good squad. It's a good squad, and there's only 4 loan signings, so we haven't got that sort of, that spectre of January where they all go back and it's going to really impact on it. So there's a lot to be positive about. And he's got a bit of a free hit on Saturday, I mean, he doesn't want to disrupt our fantastic, recent cup experiences. So, I'm hopeful that he actually treats that as a proper game, we can sort of progress in that. So, very, very hopeful, very looking forward to the rest of the season now.
I believe there's a second round draw. I'm not sure when and what
what's
that is.
What was the second round mean?
I don't know. I'm only 68. It's been a long time. Sean says Carlisle's an odd one with what they've spent. And I think we're all a little bit surprised by Carlisle, to be honest. Hi, Darren. I have a really good feeling about Holloway. We needed a proper football man controlling the football side of things. Hopefully the management behind the scenes will leave him to make the decisions and back him. We've been calling out for senior figure to stand up. Right, I'll get more of these in a minute. Jamie, you Salford, miserable, grim, terrible. An inevitable decision followed, didn't it?
Yeah, do we have to talk about Salford? Let's ignore that. That never happened, right? And the even more miserable getting back at 3:00 in the morning.
The hot dogs were good.
Only 2:00. What's that? We're called lightweight. What's going on?
Yeah, to be fair, I think we all talked about something had to happen, didn't it? And as much as you don't like to see people leave or sacked or whatever you want to call it, that was dismal coming back from Salford. And I think what is really notable is the comment was made. That atmosphere on Saturday would not have happened had Kennedy still been in charge. And a big part of, I think, we haven't heard that kind of support from all 3 stands for a very long time. And I think there was 2 parts to that for me. One, actually you saw a bit of heart and passion for the players, and in some ways the backs against the wall mentality from the sending off probably helped that to some degree. They did start to stand up and be a bit of a team. But let's be honest, it was Holloway running around like a lunatic and trying to work out whether he should or shouldn't lean over the barriers and how he was going to talk the team through it, that actually galvanised certainly our stand, if not the rest. And that was a bit of heart and passion that's probably been missing. And I think that is what then resonated into the stands. And that's what we've been crying out for. So hopefully that's part of the missing link, is some of that enthusiasm and positivity that's been sadly lacking. As much as I feel for Kennedy, if you can't compare and contrast that, I think Holloway probably showed more passion and commitment in that kind of 90 minutes than we've seen in 10 games or whatever it is with Kennedy.
And how soon will they be before the club shop get those hats in? I wonder. And will you buy one? Is probably the subsequent question to that. Nick, I mean, how much influence can a coach have from the sidelines like that? I mean, he was obviously shouting comments to various players. Do they take it on board? How's it work?
Yeah, I think they do, because like Andy said, I think we've got quite a decent squad. So to me, something, I weren't one of these ones who wanted Kennedy out. I weren't screaming Kennedy's got to go. But to me, the squad, I think we've got a half decent squad. The games I've watched, we've looked not bad at times. And you think, what's wrong with it then? Something's wrong here because our squad isn't bad. Why aren't we doing better? So, Kennedy's gone. Then Holloway Saturday, I think he had a big influence on the team Saturday, because he was talking to Gavin Gunning, because I'm in the John Trollope stand, and he was talking to Gavin Gunning and the coaches. He was talking to the players, and what that does, because he kept doing a bit, didn't he? Then he'd sit back in the stand, chat to the fans. So that gets fans going. And then, like you're saying, that was the best atmosphere this season, without a doubt, on Saturday. That second half, really, as it was going on, the fans really got into it. So I think he had quite a big influence on that game Saturday, even though he wasn't officially the coach.
And does the name of a coach make a difference? You see the point I'm making, because a lot of these young players, they're quite young players, a lot of them, and the name Ian Holloway may not be as relevant to them as a younger coach. You see the point I'm making here? But
yeah,
does that make a difference?
But I think, if you don't know him, you'd research him, and he is funny. You got to give it his, he'll make you laugh. He brings character to you. He has that. And to me, like he was saying, he wants to get to his 1,000 games, which he's going to. But he's been out for who was it? Comment on the comment thing about, he's been out for 4 years. Well, to me, that gives him more hunger to stay in the game, because he knows more than anyone how hard it is to get back in. It's took him 4 years. And look at his record. He's coached in every league, but it still took him 4 years to get back into coaching. So he's got more than most of, not wanting to go out again and doing well for Swindon to stay there, to go beyond the season.
Well, a manager for over a season, that would be quite a thing, wouldn't it? I mean, what about the appointment, Mike? They didn't mess about, did they? Kennedy went on, when was it, Friday? It was announced, and Holloway was announced on Friday. It was pretty darn quick.
It was quite extraordinary, actually. I mean, I spoke to Andy on the phone mid-morning, and I knew that I'd seen on the internet. I was driving at the time, so I didn't know that we'd actually put Holloway into the job, because I thought, well, it's going to take a few days for that to happen. But as everybody said, what difference he made. I just was thinking, I'm drinking out of this cup that's got memories of a day in 2012 when we beat Port Vale 5-0.
Yeah. You'll remember that.
I celebrated Harry Smith's goal on Saturday more than I celebrated that win against Port Vale when we beat there. That was an incredible sort of crescendo, the way that it built up to it. And pretty much 99% of that, for me, was down to the antics of Ian Holloway. We always remember when the games were a little bit boring when DeCanio was in charge, we used to watch him. And we found ourselves doing the same thing with Holloway, because he was, somebody said he must have sat in 12 different seats. Well, one of them was 2 seats away from us. And he just chatted to everybody really nicely, gave everybody his time. You could see the passion in him. He was thumping his fist on the chair in front of him. I love the bit where he went up to the dugout and was banging on the side of the dugout because Gavin Gunning wasn't giving him enough attention at the time. And I felt sorry for the poor steward who was still on the gate there. He was desperately wondering what she was going to do if he tried to open the gate and go through. Obviously, it was lined up beforehand. He knows how to whip up some football fans. He knew how to do it when he was a player. He used to wind us up when he was playing for Rovers against us with his little gestures and stuff. He knows he's just got that love of the game. And hopefully that's going to come through. And hopefully he's going to get that into our players, because let's face it, the last few games, they haven't looked as though they've been enjoying it.
Well, we certainly haven't been. It's fair to say. I mean, the first half at Salford was as bad as the Harrogate game, to be honest. It was dreadful. Dan, I mean, you can't criticise the club for acting quickly. I think, my goodness me, Kennedy's gone, Holloway's in. What was your reaction to that?
Just firstly, there's plenty you can criticise the club on. Maybe I'll sit on them. Looking back at Kennedy, I think from a purely footballing point of view, I absolutely hate that we've had to make this decision after just 16 games, 13 in the league and 3 in the cup, because I just despise how transient football is and how little time managers get. But I just think if you look at Kennedy's disposition, the things he was saying, I just worry that we're dealing with a human being that was really, perhaps in a big way grieving from the events that happened in the summer. I think that disrupted pre-season. That obviously meant he didn't have time on the training ground with certain players. He referenced that about John McGregor at one point in an interview. He'd not spent that much time with him, for example. So I don't know. It just felt a little bit doomed from the very beginning. But no, I mean, at a human level, obviously, a lot of sympathy for someone that's lost their job and someone that's going through a hard time. On Holloway, I think, it drew a little bit of derision from people saying, he's 61, he's past it, he hasn't managed for 4 years. And, broadly, fair enough. But I think given that you can't change the squad until the 1st of January, and whatever manager you were bringing in has to work with what he's got, I'm not completely against it. They're bringing in a personality manager, which is kind of a movement away from what we were getting with Mark Kennedy. Hopefully, as he's shown in his career, he's going to be a kind of Mr. Motivator that the players need. I think Mike referenced it when he was talking a moment ago. The players have looked so completely shot of confidence and completely shot of trust in each other. So I think Holloway to come in and be that short-term impact man, give the whole club a boost, is what's really needed. And Andy, just to address something you said, I think Holloway absolutely has to treat Saturday as a first-team fixture. There's no debate. We've got the Spurs under-21s game on Tuesday where he can look at the fringe and some of the youngsters. So, no, I'm predicting bravely, I think Holloway will give the club and the on-pitch a sort of temporary boost. The acid test will be sort of January and beyond, when the kind of novelty of Holloway in the building has worn off. Him saying silly things on the radio. We've got a bit more used to that. I just, as a Swindon fan, I'm desperate that it works. Would be silly not to treat this like a relegation scrap. We've got 12 points from 14 games. But there is just that shred. There is that glimmer that Saturday gave. So yeah, I want to see us attack that Colchester game and then take a big following away to Milton Keynes and shove a few words back down Scott Lindsay's throat about the massive, massive club that MK are.
Well, it's a massive,
That'd be
massive
sweet, wouldn't
stadium. It's a massive, massive stadium, let's be fair.
Well, but Vic, to your comments about the stadium, I think it's a good place to watch Lady Gaga, but I don't want to watch football there. It's a nightmare.
Well, if I remember, it was built in for the World Cup, wasn't it? That never came here. Many grounds were built for that, and it never happened. So there we are. This is from John Stevens.
Sorry, just quickly. I think to build on Dan's point, I don't know whether everyone's seen it, but if you haven't seen the full YouTube video, the first interview that they've done with Holloway, which is about 25 minutes. So I watched it late last night. I challenge anyone not to watch that video and come away thinking I'd run through a brick wall for him. And I think that's the kind of appointment we badly needed, with someone that is a bit old school, it's an appointment for now and where we were, and the fact that we need someone that those players were going to die for on the pitch. Because quite frankly, looking at the warm-up at Salford, we all decided before we kicked off, they didn't give a monkeys what was going on, and they looked like they didn't want to be there. And I think that was what had to change. But I think that it's really interview. If you haven't watched that interview, I think it's a very old school interview with someone that's just a bit of an inspirer, is a bit of a motivator, and hopefully that's the key to having a squad that really didn't know what they were trying to do. And maybe it's an appointment for this season and not ongoing. But I think the worst thing we could have done is brought someone else in that was going to be a bit drab or not necessarily galvanise the players. Hopefully that's the kind of the personality bit that goes with it, just to kind of G up. Also, I think Holloway talks a lot about the importance of the fans. And I don't think that can be underestimated, because he's already talked about wanting to do events. He's also already talked about engagement. He's already talked about the importance of going to the game with a smile on. I think there's a really nice quote in it that talks about when's the last time you drove to the stadium as a player or as a supporter with a smile on your face looking forward to it. Mm-hmm. Actually, he's hit the nail on the head, because I can't remember the last time until recently. And actually, it's the right kind of messages that he's probably giving across at the moment. Hopefully that continues.
Yeah, I would pick up on something that Dan said, and I totally agree with this about the human side of it. We all moan about football managers, but they go through personal things like everybody else does, and we sometimes forget that. We do that with players. We just think they're superhuman. They go out, you wind them up for 90 minutes, out they go. But you don't know what's going on in their personal lives. We've seen a lot recently, Liam Manning, for instance, losing his son, haven't we? And, sometimes we forget all that. So thank you for making that point, Dan. It's a very good one. I heartily agree with you. Mark Merriman. Hi, Mark. Evening all. There's certainly a never dull moment at Swindon Town with the appointment of Ian Holloway. Could go one of two ways. Either a continued slide into non-league oblivion or a rescue job, allowing us to build for the future. What does the panel think? And just before we get to that, Andy, as an aside from John Stevens, if Holloway can get something like the performances from Blackpool in their stay in the Premier League, he was sat in front of us. One of our group thought we'd become Wilfred Bramble's Red and White Army. You have to be of a certain age to get that appointment. Yes, that's the one. Right. What does the panel think about the future? I mean, my goodness me, how many futures have we had? It's been miserable this season. So what about the future, Andy?
Well, as you said, good squad, small percentage of loan signings, and with the greatest of respect to the four of them, they're not the heartbeat of the club. They're not an Owen Doyle or a Yates. So if they did go back, it wouldn't massively change the structure. I think a lot of them are crying out. We said a bit earlier, alluded to this, a bit of simplicity. They're young, they're inexperienced. Sometimes this is their first experience of first team football. You just want simple messages. And I don't want to harp back too much on Kennedy's period here, and it was very sad. And we always felt we were in pre-season, didn't we? It just never seemed to get going. But it's a simple game of football. He talked about processes all the time. I'd hate to think how many different systems and setups that we had with him. We went to Cheltenham with 6 in midfield and Glatzel up front against 2 lumps. That's not a process. So I think Holloway will bring something fairly straightforward. It will be, muck and bullets, 4-3-3. Hopefully you get to see the likes of Clark and Oferball in there, doing all the dirty stuff, allowing Holloway to sort of, be the creative player that we know is in there. A good old-fashioned back four, because with the greatest of respects, our wing-backs, probably McGregor and Cox can do it, but I think good old-fashioned full-backs, and then you can have wider people. And I think it's just nice and straightforward. Keep it simple, and then you get that's your process, And I am, as I said earlier, I am the comment that Jamie made. I'm going to start looking forward to going. Admittedly, I have to sort of come up with you, Vic. So I'm going to have you to smile.
The negative to kick off with.
So that's the challenge on Saturday is to get you smiling going into the ground. There you are.
Cool. Good luck with that. Some more comments coming in. Sean says, I was sat quite near Holloway. He shouted over to Cox first half and said to him to tell Freckleton that was a great pass. You see? That's man management, that, isn't it? Yeah. Hi, Christopher. I think that we will see a more positive attacking approach from Holloway. His teams tend to play that way, so let's get behind him and the team. I can't believe how many negative comments have been put on social media, etc. already. Come on, you Reds. Social media. What are we to make of it, Jamie? It was a bit Marmite, I thought, over the weekend. Some good, some bad regarding Mr. Holloway. I'm kind of getting to the fight. We'll just shut social media down for 5 weeks and we'll all feel a lot better somehow.
if only, yeah. I think the trouble is there's a lot of probably history with Bristol Rovers. There's a lot of kind of probably assumption. I mean, I'll be the first to admit, I don't really know who Holloway is. I don't really know that much about his style and stuff. Yes, I know the kind of reputation and stuff that comes from the past, but I'm more than happy to give anyone a go. And if they're saying the right kind of things and they're bringing the kind of values, they're bringing the kind of effort and saying the right kind of things, then it's time we've got to get behind someone. If we don't get behind him, then that drop into non-league is getting a damn sight closer, because we can't have another manager that fails and we can't have another team that's got excuses. I think the bit for me is they made a choice really quickly, that what we talked about, that was key. If this had been dragging on for 2 or 3 weeks trying to find the right person, then I would be really worried. I think now we need to kind of reset and say, whoever they've chosen, it doesn't look like fingers crossed, doesn't look like a disaster. They're going to show a bit of passion and commitment. Then I think we've got to buy into that, and we've got to get behind it until we see something different.
Daniel, hang on, I just moved up, so I was going to say that. Daniel says he is literally being hailed as the Messiah already, or is he a very naughty boy? Another reference that younger people may not get. I'd rather be swayed by a set of results across a few weeks. Hi, Darren. The club tried and failed with the young manager type with Kennedy and Morris. There wasn't enough leadership and strength, which is obviously required. Hi, Michael. I always liked Ian Holloway after watching the video on YouTube. An honest and open interview, making no promises on this, and then can't wait for Tuesday night and Saturday afternoon. Come on, you Reds. New manager bounce, Nick. Is it a thing?
We hope. We haven't had it recently. Let's be honest, Jody Morris was a nightmare, wasn't it? When did he get his new bounce after so many games?
We won at Wimbledon, to be fair.
So
that was it, I think.
Let's be honest. If he wins the next 2 games, we're going to say, yeah, new manager bounce and stuff like that. When you're not doing well, you want to believe everything that you can to get some good results. Yeah, and like they were saying, you listen to Grimsby fans, they don't like him. I bet you Blackpool fans probably love him. I don't care what he done at Blackpool, what he done at Grimsby, is what he's going to do the next 6 months at Swindon Town.
Yeah.
And like you say, there's always one team at the bottom who goes on a good run. It always happens. You have one team at the top who suddenly drops, and you usually find one team at the bottom makes a good run. Like we always say, last year it was Donny, then it was Rovers a few years ago. Could we be that team? And that's what you're hoping for. Because I'm excited this year, because I think we have got a good squad. Like I said earlier, there was something not right with that squad, because the players aren't bad. It's not the greatest league. I think it's weaker than last year.
Mm-hmm.
And last year weren't the greatest. A couple of strong teams in there, but it weren't like we said, did Crawley lose 18 games and still get promoted? That's ridiculous, really. But, and I think this year it's even weaker. So, you just got to hope. The thing he's going to bring is enthusiasm. And sometimes, when you get players playing and getting them going, get the fans going, it does help. And, he's going to bring that without a doubt. He's got the knowledge. He's been around. He's been a player. People might moan about him, but you can't beat experience. I don't care what you say. Even me as a coach growing up, said I was lucky that I was at the School of Excellence with John Trollope and Terry Woolen. And I would talk to them all day, because you get so much, with experience, you can learn so much from the experience of what they've gone through. I used to love it. And he brings that. He definitely does bring that to the club.
And how important is that bit where it's just mentioned about telling Cox to tell Freckleton what a great pass that is? I mean, there's a simple phrase called "well done," isn't there? And we
all like to be praised, don't we? And especially Freckleton at the moment, because he knows he's going through it. He's probably, you say now with social media, he must be reading all of it, and everyone's slagging him off and this. So he reads that, so getting that praise, and he, you look at it Saturday, it didn't go bad. Because if it went bad Saturday when they brought him on, the fans would have been crucifying everybody at that, on that management staff, because you hear when Kennedy went, they're all saying get rid of everybody, all of them out, even still, Milne, who's a Swindon through and through kind of person. Fans are saying get rid of everybody. So if that went wrong Saturday, they would have all been jumped on the bandwagon, because it turned a great result in a way, down to 10 men, battled so back, hard, get the result at the end. Everyone's happy.
More comments coming in. Players were being played out of position for starters. Hope that now changes. Hi, Claire. The majority of the team are young players and they seem to lack confidence and guidance during matches. Ian Holloway has an infectious personality and hopefully that will help the team. I'll get to this question in a minute because it's a good one. I'll give you some time to think about this. And Stephen says, if the panel could give Holloway some advice, what would it be and why? The Grimsby games will be interesting with how they feel about him. Holloway will raise the profile of club, which may have financial benefit too. When he was at Plymouth, I don't know how many of you know Smeaton's Tower, but it's the lighthouse that stands on the Hoe.
I went to uni there.
There you go. You know it well then. It's painted red and white. Now, he campaigned to get it painted green and white because he said it should be in Argyle's colours. It never happened. But a way of connecting with the fans, Mike. And that's, I think we dearly love that, don't we? We dearly want that.
Well, considering the kind of almost lack of personalities that we've had in the last few managers, one thing that suddenly sprung to my mind is this appointment is not only really crucial for this team and for us for this season, I think it's really crucial for the ownership of the club, because they've made 4 poor choices now, what have turned out to be poor choices. I don't think they can afford to make another one. I mean, they already get a lot of grief anyway, some of it absolutely justified, some of it probably not. I think they've gone for an option. When I first heard about it, I said to Andy, I wonder whether Clem's gone for an option that just gets the fans on his side and gets some of the heat off of him. Actually listening to the interview that he gave before the game, and I have listened to all that 25-minute one, and also the one that was on the TV tonight on our local news just before we came on. I love the man already. Someone already said run through a brick wall for him. I think any fan that witnessed the last 20 minutes of that game on Saturday has got to feel enthused for our future. But on the same time, we've had a couple of false storms this season. We had a false storm at home to Newport. We had a false storm away to Cheltenham. We can't have any more false storms because, as Sam also pointed out quite rightly, we need to score 1.8 points per game to make the playoffs. Yeah. And that's probably more than 1.8 now because we've not won since then, since that came out. So it's a real uphill task. I think we've got a position between fans, really. What's a good job going to look like? When we get to the end of April, what do we want to turn around and say, I think Ian Holloway's done a good job this season? Where do we need to be? Is it playoffs? Is it mid-table mediocrity? Is it being entertained? I'm not sure yet. I'm really not sure.
Okay, well, maybe we'll get
I'll have a stab at it.
Yeah, go on then. Just a minute. Whoa. Baz, hi, Baz. Smeaton's Tower. Did I not say Smeaton's Tower? I do apologise. It is Smeaton's Tower. It used to be the old Eddystone Lighthouse, just to give you a bit more history, but I won't bore you with it. Hi, Steve. A small run before Christmas, please, would be what we long-suffering fans deserve. Enough to pull us away from the relegation battle, please, Ollie. You can do this. And we mentioned earlier about the passion. We all remember dearly the days of Paolo Di Canio smashing his hand into the glass, don't we? We used to take sweepsake as to when would be the first time he hit the plexiglass of the dugout. And I can kind of think that's going to happen again. Off you go, Dan.
Well, just firstly, let's hope Holloway doesn't hit the plexiglass because, that's another bill the club will have to pay. Just quickly on the green and white lighthouse idea down in Plymouth. I think Holloway rather didn't help himself when he up sticks and went took the Leicester City job. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. But yeah, just on that question about the future. So I think in the short term, I think we've got to be really realistic, right? Happy to draw a line in the sand. Hope that in the short term we turn things around on the pitch and we stay up. Because I think we need to be deadly serious and acknowledge this as a relegation battle. until such time that we're on 53, 54 points and we can, relax and start planning our summer holidays. I think in the medium term, the public discourse amongst Swindon fans, it really does need to be about holding the Swindon Town ownership to account. And, you might be thinking, oh, Dan, here you go again. But this cannot be lost just because we've done that personality hire and things might improve short term. Clem Morfuni, if you're going to sell the club, hurry up and sell the club. We still are tarred with Morfuni and friends, ranging from Chris Kiley, who's been this mysterious man in the background, and his wife, Zav Austin and Adam Hart, who are still visible on match days, a CEO in Anthony Hall, who, has shown himself to be deficient in terms of business. I won't say any more than that. I don't think Jamie Russell, as our director of football, is absolved from blame either. I'm not saying he's a wrong un, by the way. I think Jamie Russell's a very nice human being. I spoke to him in the junior reds room, seems like a stand-up guy. I think he's a man slightly out of his depth in terms of being a director of football. All those people I've just mentioned, this is their mess. 22nd in League Two, this is their mess. It's unacceptable where we are. They hired Mark Kennedy. They built this squad. The crowds have dropped, and the crowds have dropped, and the people who own Swindon Town are now having to take their medicine. But I'm happy to focus on the pitch. I want to see things turn around. But in the medium to long term, that absolutely has to be where our focus is as a fan base. Because you can't just sweep that under the carpet.
Dan, you've had your say, and I think we respect your views. So you're allowed to put them forward, and I wouldn't stop you for one moment. Let's put it like that. Hi, Derek. Hi, all. Saturday was the first in an age that I left the ground with a smile on my face and feeling positive about the rest of the season. I know Leicester and Grimsby fans, the last 72 hours have been hard reading. Oh, goodness me. Here's a long one. From Greg, Kennedy should have gone for the last Tuesday first half alone. Worst I've seen against dire opposition since 1979. Holloway knows Swindon. He's already reached out to the fans, something that Lindsay never did, worked against him. He has 2 free hits against Colchester and the Tim Pot Cup to get his stuff together. Forget iPad stats, Man City tactics in League Two and GPS vests. Let's get the basics right. Pass the ball 3 yards, move into the right positions and play players in positions that suit them. And my buzz is gone and I want it back, Andy. I mean, I think that's fair to say, isn't it? The buzz had gone without question. I had no buzz at Salford on Tuesday. I sat there thinking, what on earth am I doing here?
It's been like that for a while. And I was just sitting here thinking to sort of one of the other things that Ian Holloway will hopefully do. He talked about it, and so as previous managers talked about it. And if we put our OSC hat on for a minute, we've heard Michael Flynn, we heard Kennedy. Oh yeah, I want to get involved with the fans and ingratiate myself with the local community, and it never happened.
Nope.
But I'm confident that Holloway will. And I think that's just going to benefit everybody because it's going to benefit the community. It's going to improve the atmosphere, on and off the field, and it will just give everyone a fillip and a lift. So yeah, it's on the field and it's performance, but off the field as well. There's an awful lot of things that we want to do as a supporters club, and sometimes we're stymied because it's trying to sort of crawl over broken glass because the managers are sort of reluctant to allow their players exposure to us and all of that good stuff. So I'm confident now that Holloway will be a lot more available, and also so will the players. And I think that will just be a win because he didn't have to do much, did he? On Saturday, he just turn the heat up and look at that crowd. I mean, the people are absolutely desperate to go and enjoy the game. And it's not about winning; it's about the performance. And Swindon fans, if they see a positive performance with effort and energy, then they will go. I've just seen his post here. They'll go away with a smile on their face, like Derek Elston, who we know how long Derek has been supporting us. So, yeah, there's a lot of positives to look forward to.
Ollie should pop into the Legends after the game to meet some more fans. I'm pretty sure he will do, quite frankly. Mark Merriman said, Dan's completely right. A new brew. Oh, hang on, that one's gone. Oh, it's disappeared. Anyway, you're right, Dan. That's all I can say. Well done.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, I mean that link between the team and the fans, Jamie. I mean, I think many people have said to me they've never felt so divorced, to use a word, from what they're seeing on the pitch and how they're feeling. Is that a fair point?
I think it's a very fair point, and I get where Andy's coming from. I think part of that has been disconnected by the way that some of the previous managers have actually created that gap. And I think that would be my biggest advice as well to Holloway is build on it, repair it. Because if you get that going, there ain't going to be many more difficult places to come and play than us, or we'll suddenly start getting bigger away followings again. And I think that is really key. I remember at the end of last season at one of the dinners with some of the players, and two of them made a comment around, oh, we'd love to do more stuff in the community, but they don't want us to. And I guess there's always a bit of, you can hide behind that as a narrative, but they seem pretty genuine that there was something being held back from them having that engagement out in the community. And that's not just the last season, that's the last couple of seasons. And I think in order to bring that club closer together, create that galvanized spirit between the supporters and the team, and I think you'll go a long way to getting a really positive atmosphere. Part of the problem is it's been toxic for such a long time. If Holloway could actually create the county ground as a place where it's a bit more of a fortress and we look like we're actually going to win most games rather than not, that's probably the biggest thing he could do. Because how long have we said that the positives all been away from home? Yeah. And the rubbish performances and the horrific experiences have all been at home.
Can I just follow on from what you're saying there, Jamie? You're on about the community. One thing the club I thought was disgraceful this year, like John Holloway, 30 years involved with the club. The PFA gave him an award. The club didn't do anything for him. And he's been involved with that. And what Foundation Park is like is an incredible facility that Foundation Park's got, that even the first team haven't got. And they didn't even, say, well done, John, thank him for anything. They did nothing for him, the club. That was the PFA and, people. And I thought that was disgraceful for that because, those fans, the amount of people that go through that Foundation Park, the fans, the kids, and that's what you want to get your next generation of fans coming through. And, they've got to do more with that.
Well said, Nick.
Yeah, they are a magnificent organisation, that Community Foundation, and I think they're a shining light. There's no question about that. Everything they do is to the benefit of the community, and I think we as supporters have long highlighted how wonderful they are, and that should never be forgotten.
At times, it feels like the club's almost decamped its community responsibility to the foundation, and actually, it's not. It's part of the same thing. The club has to have that community spirit as well. It's not a leave it to the charity and let them get on with it.
Yeah. I remember, when that community first started, all those in the early 90s, I'm letting my age out now, and I was here with Lee Barnard. I remember Friday afternoons, we used to have the youth players. We used to have so many youth players every Friday afternoon with us, and we go and do school projects and took youth players with us and stuff like that. And then we've done events, and the first team players would give out certificates. So it was a big time involvement with the first team and the youth team. But I don't think that never happened. I'm sure. I don't remember the last time something like that happened. It should do.
Well, I remember it fondly, Nick. I was one of those children in the early 90s who would do the soccer schools in Stratton. And you'd get a pair of tickets at the end of the 12-week block, and you'd get a visit from a son and Blair. And when I were 8 or 9, that meant the world. And the Community Foundation have now put my two boys through their sort of early days of football, and they're a magnificent organisation.
Yeah.
When you see the delight on the kids' faces in the junior reds room when a player comes over, it doesn't necessarily mean which, it doesn't matter which player it is. But you know what it's like. We've all been young kids, and you see a footballer, and you go, "It's a footballer," and you're really kind of in awe of this. And I'm speaking from the heart now. I desperately want my football club to connect with the fans again. It really needs to do that. And
otherwise, what's the point?
Otherwise, what is the point? And if they don't do that, then they suffer the consequences. So now is a real chance now to do that and to get out there and actually say, look, this is Swindon Town and we think of the fans and this is what we want to do with the fans. And, you know, because at the end of the day, we're all fans, aren't we? We all support the team.
Yeah.
We go along. They're 22nd in League Two. Why are we going along? Why would you do that? Because we support this bonkers football club for some ungodly reason, which surprises me sometimes. What are your thoughts, Mike?
I'd echo what everybody else has said. I mean, I've been going for more years than I care to remember now. I can't remember ever feeling more disengaged with a club that I write out a cheque for 400 quid every year to, and turn up and buy these shirts because I bought every single one of them. And there's
I
others.
thought you were selling them. I thought you were down the warehouse selling them later.
Do you know, I actually sold recently my 1993 GWR shirt because somebody offered me a silly price for it. But where was I? Sorry. I've never felt so disengaged. I spend all this money and all this time following this team, boring everybody to death in my family and work about it. And we've had nothing back for so long. And there's so much, it doesn't take much. You know, what the guys have been saying, what used to happen back in the day, it doesn't take much. I mean, I remember when I went to school, we actually got visits from Bristol City players. So, but I kind of recovered from that, just a little bit now. But we thought that was wonderful. You know, just like you were saying, Becky, hey, there's a guy coming along and he's gonna teach you how to pass the ball and teach you how to trap a ball, and he's just gonna sign things for you. There's so much that can be done. It's so easy to do, and we just seem to be doing absolutely nothing. And it makes your heart bleed. It makes you almost ashamed of the team that you support, and you shouldn't be feeling that way. We shouldn't be thinking that way.
We should say there is a signing thing in the Legends Lounge tomorrow at 4:00. So we should say that. And, you know, that's kids love it. Don't they? They just go along, get a footballer's autograph. It's fabulous. You know, that's how it should be. And then, of course, the youth team are playing at 7 against Newport in the FA Cup, Youth Cup first round. Nick is going to tell us before we finish about a bonkers football match because we really want to hear that story. But more comments are coming in. Try getting the support liaison officer either reply to emails or voicemails is almost impossible. Vicky does her best. She's very busy, I would say, in Vicky's defence. We won the league when I was playing as a kid. Colin Calderwood awarded us our trophies at the awards night. Can't get a lot better than that, can you, when you're a kid? Ollie's man management skills are good. He knows how to get the best out of players. On Jamie's point, I'm bored of reaching out to the club to offer thoughts and help on social engagement and community support. The day-to-day staff are great. The football side, sadly, is not. Thank you very much, Dee, for your comments. Paul says, first time in a while, I feel good about going again. Right, let's go round. FA Cup. Engagement with fans starts at the top from the owner down, says Gordon. Right, let's go round. FA Cup. Andy, are we going to win an FA Cup tie or a cup tie of any description? I had an argument with Rob Hartley the other day. We actually won we beat Bristol Rovers in the EFL Trophy. He argues that it's a league section win, not a cup tie win. I say it's a cup tie win. Let's get another one. What do you reckon on Saturday?
We're going to win 2-0. It's the last time we played him in the FA Cup. Was it Matty Ritchie scoring there?
Yeah.
And the next game was Wigan.
I think it was Aidan Flint.
What, at Colchester?
1-0, wasn't it? Aidan Flint.
Matt Ritchie scored in that one, I'm pretty certain. And you've been banished for mentioning that individual's name on our thing.
You used to go visit Mike at school, I bet.
How did they get him through the door? I mean, my God, they must have extended it.
And that's what we're trying to look at here. You know, it may be a so-called Mickey Mouse first round cup, but what it brings, you know, anyone that was at that Wigan game and then went to Leicester in the next round, Those are the special memories. If you look back and think of all of the, the years that you've been watching, and if you count playoffs as a so-called one-off game, those are the games that you remember: the West Hams, the Arsenals, the Wolves, the Spurs. And Mickey Mouse, you might not remember Colchester, but you might when you get a third round draw. And I just absolutely advocate that we really put a lot of effort into having a cup run. And it makes sense because you're going to make some money for the club. So I'm really positive. I think Ollie will really treat it seriously, and it will be 2-0, I think, 2-0.
Well, the McCurdy moment, we still talk about that, don't we? The goosebumps still go up when that ball went in the back of the net. One of the great moments, I'd say, of the last few years. Fraser Digby attended one of our presentation evenings, and to collect a trophy off him was amazing. Jamie?
Well, to be fair, Ollie could go down in Holloway could go down in history as legend if he gets in the second or third round, isn't it? I mean, it's that long ago since it actually happened.
Phil Brown got us in the second round. He got the sack the next day, you might remember.
Those are the days when the second round wasn't an achievement. But they've got nothing to lose. At the end of the day, he needs to find out about the squad and the team that he's got. I'd be shocked if he doesn't treat it with the utmost respect, because one, we need to get onto a winning run of some sort, but also he needs to find his best team. We haven't got time to be messing around with resting people, and I think that goes for, in some ways, the midweek game in the Mickey Mouse Cup as well. Let's use it to actually get some momentum and get some positive results and see where we kick on from there. But I don't see Colchester being any better than some of what we played before. I completely agree with Nick. I don't think this is a particularly impressive league with anyone in it. I think that's the opportunity. So why can't we get a cup run that goes with it? It would certainly probably shock the hell out of all of us, but it'd be a nice shock to be having, going and actually working out when the round 2 draw happens, because I haven't got a clue. I've never bothered actually watching or finding out when it is.
When will we do our Christmas shopping, though? That's the trouble, Jamie. It's a day we normally do it. Right, we're going to get to your story in a minute, Nick. But what about the FA Cup first and foremost?
No, I think we're going to win. I think we'll win. I'd say, like, some of them do 3-0. Like some people said in the comments, there's no, like some people say, free hits and all that. I don't think this is. You don't have a free hit. You want to come in and win your first game, your first official game. So he's going to be really up for this, because this is where it's going to be a marker for him. Because if he loses, people are going to complain. They won't hear about the hoodoo, the FA Cup. They're going to complain. So there's no free hit. He's going to want to start. If you're a coach, you want to start off with a win more than anything. So he's really going to be up for this. And I could see, because I'll be honest, I'm quite disappointed with coaches. So those two brothers there, I thought the Cowleys, I thought they were going to do better than what they've done. I really did. I thought they'd be, coaches there this year would be up amongst it and doing well. They're struggling again, which really surprised me with them. But no, I think we're going to win 3-0.
They lost at home to Salford by 2-1. That's a familiar scoreline, didn't they, on Saturday? So they're not in great form, let's be honest. Right, Mike.
FA Cup. If any club owner or manager wants to know what the FA Cup means to proper fans, I found somewhere, just scooting around social media today, a rant from Helen Chamberlain, who used to present Sky Saturday morning, and it was on. She was in a Torquay shirt, and she was on, I think, TalkSport. And if you get a chance to go and look at it, it is a most fantastic 2.5-minute rant about what the FA Cup means to proper fans and how so many clubs have ruined it by not wanting to take part and putting out rubbish teams. It's really, 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 really important to people sitting on the terraces every year. You remember the run that we had when Benson scored that goal against Wigan, how the place just went absolutely crazy. Unfortunately, I'm not going to see it this week. When we kick off against Colchester on Saturday, I will be 7,000 miles away in Cambodia trying to find a VPN that allows me to watch the game. And I'm hoping somebody might give me an address that I can watch it on before then. So that means we're probably going to win easily.
Surely it'll be on in a bar in Cambodia, won't it? It'll be the major game, won't it? I would imagine.
Not if Man United are playing, it won't be.
Have they played this season then? Nobody seems to know. He went, by the way, didn't he, of course, today, Ten Hag, and it seems that our erstwhile England manager seems to be the favourite, Gareth Southgate.
Kennedy lives in South Manchester.
Yeah, you never know. This is from Pete Bats Hedges. After listening to the commentary on Saturday and hearing Andrew Hall's getting excited, plus the roar of the highlights, I have some renewed hope for our club. I will be at the county game on Saturday for the first time in a long time, and I'm hoping we can make the FA Cup second round. Come on, you Reds. And hi, Daz. It'll be my first game this season after life-saving surgery. Thank you all at Great Western Hospital. Daz, that's brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Great to see you there on Saturday. It will be. And thanks as always to all National Health staff. Dan,
we're going to win 4-2. It's going to be rip rousing. It's going to be 4,500 in, and then we're going to start dreaming about second round. But it'll be nice to see Jack Payne and Andelo and Rob Hunt.
Yes.
And who's the other one they got?
Egbo.
Oh yeah, Manny Egbo, bless him. Yeah, so it is a wonder why they're doing so badly. I would love Jack Payne to be here, but we'll have to take seeing him in a Colchester shirt, I guess.
Yeah, nice bloke. Genuinely a nice bloke.
Yeah.
Right, Nick. Before we finish this story of the game, now those of us who are old enough to remember Leicester Shakhtar giving 4 penalties in a game. In a 5-1 win for Swindon against Walsall. I might got the score wrong, but many, many years ago. Yours surpasses this. So tell us about it.
Well, I help out with the C6 program for Foundation Park. And on Wednesday, I do the boys, the B team. We played Brentford at home. I said, the boys played well. We come in at half-time, 3-0 down. And the boys were all upset. And I said, I'm glad you're upset because you should be. You're losing the game. We all want to win, but you're playing well. We're not that upset as coaches because we think we can come back in this. Second half, we come back and win the game 5-3. In that game, the refs give us 5 penalties. We've missed 2, scored 3. They've had 2 players sent off. We had 2 yellow cards. One of the yellow cards, because in these games, you can have the roll-on, roll-off subs. One of our subs at the time was on a yellow card. When we've gone 4-3 up, both subs have ran on and jumped on everybody. So they both got yellow carded. So one of our subs then gets a red card because he's already on a yellow. So we finished the game, but we're lucky because it was our sub who got the red card. So we finished the game with 11 players. They finished the game with 9, and we win 5-3. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. We've never seen anything like it. The game that I've been involved with. It was a really funny game. But can I just say one other funny thing? We're on about the players coming to the soccer centres. We said that years ago. Many years ago, they'd come and hand out the certificates. Mike Walsh said to me, go and see the players in the fitness room because the injured players would come and give the certificates out. I go in there, it's at Christmas. And I got so embarrassed. I go in, I said, look, Mick, just spoke to Mick, who's coming? And they turned around. I think it was Walter's, Mark, because how much you paying us? You what? Well, how much you paying us? It's Christmas. We can have a drink. And I lost. I'm losing it then. I go, yeah, and I lost it big time. Well, I those find you. And I look around and one of them's got the fishing hook. And we've hooked him. We've got him. I go, you. And they're all with laughter. Yeah, they done me a treat. I lost it big time. I did. I thought, you're a disgrace. They without those fans. And I looked around there. I got the old fishing rods out. I thought, you. Gicks, and they're all just laughing their head off. That means they hooked me up a good at the first team. Yeah, they all come out. They were great back then. They're coming out all the time. Yeah. But it was a funny, I'll never forget that. Yeah, they caught me a treat that day. They had me hook, line, and sinker, as they say.
Done up like the proverbial kipper. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yes. Good luck tomorrow night to the under-18s, of course, against Newport in the first round of the FA Youth Cup. I'm ashamed to say I'm going to watch Columpton Rangers against Bishop Lydiard, which is just up the road. So,
big game.
Yeah, it is a big game. It's in the Southwest Peninsula League East, just so you know, and if you're interested. 7:30 kickoff if you're in the area. There we are, Chris. And just one more comment. This is from Sean. Colchester, like us, have an awful record of late as well. The FA Cup, we can but dream.
We can but dream. Yes, we can. Thank you ever so much, panel. That's been fantastic. A lot of debate tonight, which is brilliant. So Vic and I will be back next week. We will be on socials to say what is going on. and we will have a well, everybody have a good week. See you tomorrow night at the youth game. If anybody's going, please come and say hello. If not, on Saturday or next Tuesday. Gosh, what a busy week. Okay, so thanks everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers, Chris. Cheers, Vic.